fans, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. We're back at it at one of my special filming spot locations, but we got a little bit of a different twist on this particular review. But what are we talking about first? Let's get that out of the way. What we're talking about is this vehicle right here. This is it. This is your redesigned 2025 Nissan Murano. This particular one is the Platinum, of course, with all-wheel drive. But before we get into this mid-size two-row crossover SUV, let's talk about what's going on here. So we already have talked about and brought to you the Nissan Murano, the new Nissan Murano, redesigned for 2025. And it's interesting because the Murano's been around since the early 2000s, and for a long time it went unchanged, and now they kind of went soup to nuts on it and really kind of changed everything. The fascinating thing is that you would think with a redesign that hasn't happened in a while, once they did the redesign on this new one, that sales would be high. Well, surprisingly, sales have been drastically low on this new Nissan Murano. So what I want to do with this review is I want to talk about what are the things that are probably causing the sales to be low, maybe the things we'll call that were done wrong by Nissan, but I also want to talk about some of the things that were done well by Nissan with this Murano, because it isn't all just a bad story. So why don't we go ahead, let's dive into our Aurora Blue. That's what they call this new color on this Murano, and see if we can find out what are the two different ends, the two different tails of this new Murano. Let's go ahead, let's dive in and find out. Right off the bat, the color is perfect. I hope that they bring this color to the Nissan Z. I really think it would look spectacular on that sleek, sexy body. Now, at the front of the business, obviously, beauty is always in the eye of the beholder, but for the majority of people out there, and I think this is one of the things that maybe Nissan did wrong, is the front end. Now, I do think that what they did right was give it LED lighting, full LED lighting all the way around. They made the headlight housing so small in a good way. That was one of the things that was kind of looking a little long in the tooth with the previous generation Muranos, those larger headlight housings. Another thing that I like, that I think is done well, are the LED daytime running lamps that are also part of the formation of the grille. Obviously, as we drop down that Aurora Blue, and then some gloss black on the bottom portion, I don't think is good or bad. I think it just balances with the body color. Now, as we come across the front nose, this is where I think things were done a little wrong by Nissan. It's fascinating because I actually saw in person, not in somebody's AI drawing, not something that somebody did in Photoshop. I saw a concept of this generation Murano with a different front end on it. And I feel like that front end that I saw a few years ago, it looked better than this. And that's where I think a lot of people are just, they went too far out of the box with the style. So what kills it is going to be that gloss black above the top of the nose area, right underneath where the hood opens. I think that is one of those areas that people are not really jiving with it. I do like the way the Murano name is embossed in it though, but it would be interesting to see if this was body color. Would that change a lot of what we see or how we perceive it if this was body color? Let me know how you feel about that in the comment section. Working our way down, I like the V-Motion grille. I just think it should be a little larger. I actually think it's a little too small on this mid-size crossover SUV. And what I mean by that is have the grille come down a little bit lower. But I do like the way they hide the forward-facing camera in the Nissan badge. I think that that's something done so well. And a lot of other brands kind of just stick it anywhere. It's almost like pinning the forward-facing camera on the donkey type of thing, where they just blindfold themselves, they spin themselves around, and then they just kind of place where they think the camera is going to go based off of that. But I think that's a smart decision that they did. But like I said, I feel like if the grille was a little bit lower and this portion was a little bit higher. I think that would give it the style that I saw a couple years ago at the Nissan headquarters. Down below, I think is fine. The flat black with the gloss black, I think works totally fine. But let me know if you agree with what I'm saying, if this is really one of those things that they just got wrong big time and that's what's hurting the sales according to your eyeballs. And what are some things that maybe you would change? Now, as we rise up, hood is fine. Hood is great. Body lines, nice and crisp. I'm glad it doesn't have that big, huge, high kind of hood design like they had on the previous generation. This looks more modern, but I really think that if the nose came up a little bit higher and straighter, that would just kind of get rid of this weird roundness thing going on. Now, as we come around the bend, I absolutely love, and I think they knocked it out of the park with the wheels, especially on this platinum trim. You're getting a 21-inch wheel, gunmetal, metallic gray with the gloss black and the machined aluminum accents. It's a good looking wheel to me. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section. Another thing that I think is great is you got your all-wheel drive, of course. And when you go, depending on the trim, you get that all-wheel drive and you're good to go. Now, tire sizes are 255 on the width, 50 series sidewall, so it's a good sized tire. And I absolutely love the way they didn't put any flat black or gloss black around the fender openings. Coming down the side, I'm good with the gloss black on the mirror caps, LED turn signals, 360-degree cameras. Look at how they hide the camera up underneath that mirror. Two-tone is an option, and I feel like with Nissan vehicles, the two-tone works the best. If I remember correctly, it was when they refreshed the last generation of the Nissan Maxima is when they brought a two-tone paint job to that sedan, and then now everybody and their mother does a two-tone paint job. One of the things, though, I don't like that I got a zonk is the shiny chrome. I feel like if you're going for a little bit more of a sporty, luxury style crossover SUV, this would have been nice if it was dark chrome. But I do like the trim, especially the way it runs into the rear pillar and kind of separates that two-tone design. As we sweep around back, absolutely love the way the flaring comes off the passenger doors. Rear passenger doors into the rear quarter panel. Did a great job once again with all the lighting, full LED lighting. And then at the back, they got it perfect, just the way I like it. No exposed wiper, nice long roof spoiler. You got the Murano name spelled out in those flat metallic gray letters, all-wheel drive, and then of course the platinum name because this is the top trim. One thing as we work our way down, I wish they would have done was gave us some type of exposed exhaust. I don't know why exposed exhaust is a bad thing. It seems that everybody's hiding the exhaust for some reason. Have a nice, stainless steel, maybe a polished aluminum end to the exhaust, like a tip, and then have one on each side, I think would have just wrapped it up. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and talk about the wrongs and the rights that's underneath it. All right, guys, we got the hood popped. You do have hood struts underneath the hood. Let's start with the good news. The good news is they got rid of the CVT. No more having a CVT. It actually has a 9-speed automatic, and it's a great transmission. The thing that they got wrong is the choice of that engine. They took the naturally aspirated V6 and they replaced it with that 2-liter variable compression turbocharged engine. It puts out 241 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60, nothing to brag about, 8 seconds. Top speed, 120 miles an hour. It does weigh 4,450 pounds with the all-wheel drive. You could only tow up to 1,500 pounds. And MPGs, they should have done better. They should have done better. 21 in the city and 27 on the highway. Now, I'm not saying that this new Murano necessarily has to have a V6. But what I am saying is that the variable compression turbo, it just doesn't jive well with the 9-speed automatic and with the driving dynamics of this crossover SUV. It just doesn't. So unfortunately, that's something that's a big zonk, is that 2-liter. But like I said, the fact that they put a 9-speed automatic in it makes me happy. And I know it'll make you happy. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire it up and see it roll away. All right, guys, we are inside this 2025 Nissan Murano Platinum trim. The wonderful thing is that from here on out on this interior, it's all about things they did right, because they knocked it out of the park. Now, if you're wondering, well, Joe, I am thinking that I want one of these Nissan Murano Platinum all-wheel drive models. How much is it? MSRP, let me know how you feel about it. $54,000. Like I said, Nissan is trying to place this as a luxury-esque 2-row midsize SUV, something to go up against a Lexus RX. Were they able to pull it off? Let's find out. To the door panels. Absolutely love the materials. Now, this particular one has a tri-tone. It's a soft, light tan with the beige. You have ambient lighting in that strip above the Murano style glass. Because if you wonder what does Murano mean, it actually is a type of Venetian glass. So they did a style of trim to mimic that. There is gloss black around the switchgear, so I will zonk that, but everything else looks fantastic, and that door pocket is ginormous. Get yourself 2 big Bufords from Checkers, a large Checkers fry, and a large banana shake. Going from the door panel to the dash, the tri-tone continues. The light tan, you got the Bose sound system, more of that Murano glass trim. There's blue ambient lighting that emits from in between the trim and the light tan. You got this wood style finish, no veneer, and then you have the beige on the bottom. Slide on in, love the way they mounted the infotainment system. 12.3 inch, very flush, very clean, and I think one of the best things they did was they brought the top of the dash over the infotainment system. And look at how they brought the light tan all the way across. It is a 12.3 inch. You got the Google apps, all the usual different selections that you're going to find, including Amazon Alexa. But very, very intuitive, very fast reacting. How about cameras? Let me show you cameras. So I'm going to hit this button here. There's your camera out the front. You got beautiful resolution, nice trajectory lines, 360. And then you could get all the different angles, including seeing through the roof and, of course, 360 and full panoramic. So that's really nice that they did that with the cameras. And then this is our home screen. Working our way down, real volume knob. Like the way they did the Murano name in the black. You got your start-stop button, and then you have the switch gear for the AC built into the wood trim, and it gives you a nice haptic kickback, dual climate. Now, to get to anything else, you got to touch the screen. So you do have 3 stages of heated seats, 3 stages of ventilated seats, and a heated steering wheel. You just got to touch the screen to get to those. Everything else AC-wise is on the exterior, which is nice. 2 USB-Cs, wireless charging. You got a place down below for a purse, a cross-body bag, a fanny pack, a hat, or a little tiny baseball bat. That all rhymes. This is something you're going to love or you're going to hate. Push button transmission for the 9-speed automatic. It does clean up this whole area, but I don't like the way it's encased in gloss black. You got the D. Get your mind out of the gutter. That's the D mode. Nice little area here. You can fill this up with peanut M&Ms. Just make sure that you eat them fast so that they melt in your mouth and not in your Murano. 2 cup holders, soft touch with the stitching. Open this up. Look at all that room in there. You could literally get a bag of marshmallows, a box of graham crackers, and a big old Wonka bar, a Willy Wonka bar. You know where I'm going with that, right? It's called s'mores. If you never had a s'mores, you haven't lived. Seats, the leather, high quality leather, the two-tone. Look at the way they did the diamond stitching, nice bolstering, full electric assist with massage for both the passenger and the driver. So did you hear that correctly? Massage seats on a Murano. And then you have your power sunshade with your panoramic sunroof. Normally I don't like the light headliner, but it works in here because you have the light interior. The interior I would choose if I was going to buy a Murano, especially if it was in Aurora Blue, is they actually have a blue interior, which really looks well. But why don't you go ahead, get your butt over here. I got a flat bottom steering wheel I want to show you in this new Murano. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. You do have 2 memory seat settings. Love the aluminum sill plate with the Murano name that illuminates ambient lighting at night. You do have all your seat controls, and that one right there is for the massage. Seats are fantastic. Nissan always does a great job with those zero gravity seats. I'm 6 feet tall, plenty of room in here. Steering wheel, I don't mind the single spoke in this. It works well. The leather, decent horn button. There is gloss black on the switch gear, but what are you going to do about that? You also do have your Pro Pilot Assist, and you have paddles to go up and down that 9-speed automatic. It is an electric tilting and telescoping wheel. And then you do have that beautiful 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster, which of course you could scroll through a cornucopia of information. And then on top of that, you do have a HUD, a head-up display. Head-up display, not heads. Everybody thinks it's heads up. No, it's not like when you're, playing football, you're like, heads up! No, it's head-up display. But why don't we go ahead, let's get in the back seat and see if they got it right in this Murano. All right, guys, back seat time, and this is another area where I like the Murano because it is just a 2-row. Not everybody wants a 3-row SUV. Some people didn't spread their seat all over the place and have 15 kids, so they don't need extra room because they don't have all those kids to put in that 3rd row, which usually, a lot of times in this size SUV, the 3rd row is too small anyways, once they get older than 1 week old. But sitting back here, the comfort, I love the way they have the manual sunshades. No pocket behind the driver, which is interesting, but I do like the way they kind of notch out the back of the leather to give you more leg room. You do have AC vents. One of the things they did wrong, and I got a zonk, is just heated seats. No ventilated seats. At 54 Gs, I should have ventilated seats in the back. 2 USB-Cs. I got my pocket over here. If I was a kid, well, especially back when I was a kid, when we would go on road trips, I would always bring Mad Libs with me. I used to love Mad Libs. It's a great way for kids to learn things like what is a noun, what is a verb, what is an adjective. Because I promise you, they're not doing it with their phone. The only thing they're doing with their phone is texting their friends and posting stupid pictures of themselves. I don't even have to know them to know that they're doing that. But you have your ambient lighting in the back and the soft touch. They didn't do hard material back here, which is nice. They got that right. And then a nice padded armrest with the 2-tone. But why don't we go ahead, let's get to the cargo area so I could show you how much room there is in this Murano. All right, guys, cargo area time. I do like the way they hide the button. Very smart, right in the Nissan badge. Follow the finger, boop. Nice electric assist. This is something they did right, is they just left the Murano a 2-row. Thank God they didn't try to make it a 3-row or any other combination of any amount of rows whatsoever. But what are we looking at cubic feet wise? It's 33 cubic feet of space with the seats up. Fold the seats down. It is a 60-40 split, and I like the way you just pull these handles. That's another thing they did right, to fold those seats down. And one of the other things I love is you got these areas where you could put a 6-pack of Yoo-Hoo on one side and a nice size box of Twinkies on the other side. And then if you're wondering, well, Joe, what about if I'm tailgating? Is there a place for me to plug something in? You do have a 12-volt tucked underneath there, underneath that cover. Now, the one thing that is a zonk that I know you're not going to love is there's no spare. You got a subwoofer, Bose subwoofer, but you get a can of flat fix and an electric air compressor. But why don't we go ahead, here's the button. If you're ready, I'm ready. let's go see how this Murano drives and see if it's right or wrong. All right, guys, we're inside this 2025 Nissan Murano Platinum trim with the all-wheel drive. I have it in sport mode, and if you're ready, I'm ready. On throttle. So surprisingly, the VC turbocharged engine actually works best when you're going on throttle. When you're driving around town, it doesn't work well with the 9-speed automatic. It's like you're never in the right amount of boost of the turbo to give you the torque that you need to come out of a corner or pull out of a drive or whatever you're attempting to do. It just never seems like they're on the same page. Now, when it comes to the interior, they knocked it out of the park. I mean, the way everything is located, the reach of the infotainment system, all the materials are really spot on. And the fact that you push that button on the top of the side of the seat and now I turn on my massage really is something that separates it from the rest of the crossover SUVs at this price point. But let's go on throttle again. On throttle! You can hear the 4-cylinder turbo working. Normally that's not a bad thing, but in a vehicle like this, which is being marketed like a luxury spec, it's just the sound, it's a little too buzzy. It's a little too buzzy, and I think that maybe they should have kept the V6. And it would have been interesting if they would have kept the V6. What would that have been like with the new 9-speed automatic? Taking it out of sport mode, going into standard mode, because the other mode is eco, that drops down the revs, softens up the steering, softens up the throttle sensitivity, and there is definitely a distinct difference between sport mode and standard. But visibility is great out front, and of course, you have that all-wheel drive that's going to keep you planted at all 4 corners. I love the dash, the digital gauge cluster, easy to read. It's got tons of information. You got your head-up display. And when you're behind the wheel, it feels like a totally new Murano, a totally different Murano than the previous generation. There's like nothing carried over between the two. It's just, I don't know, the way the torque is developed with the VC turbo, I would like it to be a little bit more linear of a torque delivery and come in lower in the rev range. But the interior is really where it's at. It's comfortable. It's pretty quiet. There's just a little bit of road noise with those 21-inch wheels and tires. But other than that, it's a very pleasurable experience. Even the way the steering wheel is shaped, it's just nice to kind of hold on to that 3 and 9 position. Or you could raise your hands a little higher and do 10 and 2. Feels natural the way that you're sitting in the car. And there's not a lot of gloss black to blind you and to get fingerprints all over the place. And then on top of that, you got the Pro Pilot Assist. You could use the paddles to go up and down the 9-speed automatic if you choose to do so. And they are made out of plastic. Just something to know about them. But a very easy SUV to drive, a very comfortable SUV to drive. It's just, would the changes that we discussed in this review make it a better seller? Let me know in that comment section. Let Nissan know in that comment section, because I promise you, they read through the comments. But But I'm hoping that this has been a good overall review of this 2025 Nissan Murano. We're gonna get back to where it all started and wrap this one up. So I will see you in a split second. All right, guys, been another day. And guess what? We have to thank everybody at Nissan USA for allowing us to have access to this press week vehicle. They got some things right. They also did some things maybe not so right. But let me know in the comment section, do you think that this would be a better seller if they put a V6 back in it and maybe change the front end? Would that like cure most of people's upsets? Let me know how you feel about that in the comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raise Rise family. Got to give up to Stephen Flood. You know, one thing that he does right is that camera work. One thing that he does wrong is just, I don't know, it's hard to think of. If you know Stephen Flood, let him know in the comment section what he does wrong. But thank you, Stephen, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.